Welcome to Policy Talks with Policypress, a civic journalism platform investigating how power works in Cyprus, its region, and Europe, and unpacks policymaking process. This podcast series is where we slow things down, unpack the information, and listen to the voices that actively work in shaping the political reality. Today I'm joined with Marinos Papaioakeim, Strategic Partnerships and Development Lead at CARDET, and Nadia Karayianni, Head of Business Development at CARDET and Policy and Civil Society Expert. Could you begin with introducing CARDET to us, please?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Bilun, for the invitation and for the opportunity in order to present our work. My name is Marinos Papaioakeim. I'm Strategic Partnerships and Development Lead in CARDET. Beyond my networking task in CARDET, I'm also managing project in relation to civic engagement, civic education, and more than happy to be with you today in order to discuss about the project and in general about the civil society organization in Cyprus.
Great, thank you. Nadia?
Yes, thank you as well for having us today. It's important to be here and sharing information about the work of CARDET about civil society, and looking forward to open this discussion and see how we can help the civil society grow more through the CARDET work, but also through networking and cooperating with policy as well.
Thank you very much. Can you begin by introducing CARDET and the EUPP5 project that has now?
Yes, sure. First, let me clarify that CARDET is an acronym. CARDET is the Center of Advancement of Research and Development in Education and Technology. We are one of the leading independent research and education centers in Cyprus and one of the prominent organizations in the wider Euro-Mediterranean region. Our mission is simple but ambitious at the same time. We want to have a just and sustainable world where people learn and flourish. So our purpose is to promote education, is to use education as a driver for social impact and for shaping a better work. In relation to our work, to the topics, to the thematic topics that we are working, as I said, education it's a core of our identity. But beyond education, we have a focus on digital learning, health and well-being, sustainable development, entrepreneurship, youth, and social inclusion. So as you can understand, we have a variety of thematic topics, and in many of our projects, we are using like an interdisciplinary method where we're combining all of these topics together. Now, in relation of what we're actually doing, we specialize in project execution. So we design, we manage, and we implement funded initiatives and projects from the initial idea to the final outcome. We invest a lot on research and evaluation. So we are developing strong methodologies. We are conducting research, since we believe that decision-making should be based on evidences. One of our core expertise is tendering and fundraising. We prepare highly quality proposal in order to secure funding, in order to run, impact initiatives. At the same time, we actively contribute to policy and to advocacy. Mm-hmm. Part of our operations is also design and development. So we create and we develop innovative digital learning tools, digital platforms, and training programs. And finally, through networking and partnerships, we act as a connector among various institutions, from locals to European to international, with regional networks, with academia and policymakers. Today, we expand in more than 40 countries, and we are in the team more than 60 people. We have reached through our projects more than 3 million people, and we have implemented more than 500 projects and initiatives, and we are very proud about our projects. For some projects, we are slightly more proud since we have since they have much more impact, I would say. But as I said, we're proud for all of them since even we believe that even minor impact if you have to the society, this is a plus. So just to mention very briefly some of our, let's say, milestones. Very few years ago, basically, as CARDET, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, Sport and Youth, we contribute to the development of the Republic of Cyprus Lifelong Learning Strategy 2021-2027. More recently, we have been actively involved on mental health and youth resilience initiatives. More particularly, we ran a project about mental health and resilience in cooperation with the Ministry of Health, UNICEF, and the Cyprus Youth Council. Another milestone of our organization was the drafting of the National Strategy of Active Citizenship of the Republic of Cyprus. That was done 3 years ago. And of course, currently, we're very proud, a very proud moment for us, since we are running the EU Presidency project with the aim to strengthen the civil society organization in Cyprus, where we're going to have the chance to talk during this discussion.
All of these projects deserve its own session to be discussed in a podcast, I believe. And the scope that CARDET covers is very, very immense and across many countries. But let's draw the focus back on Cyprus. Let's talk about what structural gaps exist in Cyprus's civil society ecosystem right now.
Yes, since Marinos mentioned the area, CARDET works a lot with civil society organizations. In terms of terminology, sometimes we say the civil society in Cyprus is the third pillar. We have the public sector, the private sector, and civil society. Also, we use sometimes NGOs, non-governmental organization, or civil society. It's the same thing. Just to say that in Cyprus, when we say civil society, it brings together all the organizations that are working in order to contribute to the good and the development of the society. In that sense, we are in 2026, and I have to say that it has been a big progress in terms of the civil society and the management of the ecosystem. Cyprus is very strong in organizations that used to work for the social welfare, and we are very proud that Cyprus has this strong element in the civil society. Through the years, and especially after the entrance of Cyprus in the EU, we have seen a lot of organizations in the area of human rights, in the areas of advocacy, and in the areas of research and development. So all this together it combines the civil society. However, we have seen that there are still some structural gaps that we are working all together, and this is the important message we want to give out, that through projects like the ones that CARDET has, and through other organizations, we are trying to bring together so that we can work and understand the civil society and help it grow more. One of the important gaps is, as you know, the access to policymaking. Yes. I know that also your organization and these things is exactly trying to tackle this gap. Yeah. Civil societies are active, but sometimes engagement in public consultation is not structured and institutionalized. Often we say that it depends on the informal networks and who you're going to find in the policy making to make an effort to get heard. Yeah. The second one is the capacity building. Most organizations are depending on volunteers. Mm-hmm. So this is why it is important to have organizations like us, like CARDET, that we have developed a project that we can help and support these organizations that they need help apart from the volunteers that they give their time in developing. Also, we see that there is a lack of advocacy skills, strategic communication, or project management. Yes. So this is another gap that we see. The most important, if you hear outside now people that are working in civil society, is that also access to funding. Yes. Large organizations have administrative capacity to apply for EU funding, but also there is local funding that unfortunately it's not so well structured in order for everyone to have access to this funding. We also have very small organizations that they are doing some work, but at the same time, they don't have the capacity to access. Now, the one that we will be seeing later on as well, another gap is the legal environment. There was a milestone in 2017 that the association and foundations laws was updated, because the one we had was from the British colony, and then it was adopted to the Cyprus law in 1960, and it was only updated in 1977. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned, it was only managing the social welfare organizations. Mm. Now we have seen that the organizations have been working in other areas as well. So the legal environment, there was an update, and it was a very important milestone for all of us that there is a legal environment to support civil society to grow, but there are still some gaps and some difficulties that arise from the law, but also it relates to the perspective that the rest of the society and media have for NGOs.
Yes.
If I can add to the discussion about the gaps that exist, I think that there is an oxymoron in Cyprus, even that we are a small country and we know a lot of people. I mean, we know each other. Yeah. So we normally, the civil society organization could have access to policymakers, to politicians in general. In some cases and in some particular topics, and some particular civil society organization, they don't have this access. And this is quite oxymoron. See, in some cases, you see that big federation, they have access to politicians, to policymakers, to decision makers, and some others, they don't. So this is something that we have, that we can think about it and discuss it in order the access to decision makers should be fair for all of the civil society organizations and on the social partners.
Maybe because we're a smaller state that the structural gap shows itself exactly there when certain organizations are unable to make progress on that. And could you address how is EUPP5 addressing these gaps? What are the key deliverables of this project?
Yes, allow me first briefly introduce the EU Presidency project. Yes. We call it as an acronym EUPP5 because it is the fifth in the row. So this is a civil society initiative which is funded by the European Commission and is implemented during the EU Council presidency of Trio, of Poland, Denmark, and Cyprus. Yes. So this project in Cyprus is implemented by CARDET. In Poland, it's led by Grupa Zagranica, one of the biggest organizations in Poland about international development. In Denmark, it's implemented by Global Focus. And the overall coordination of the project is done by Concord Europe, the European Confederation of NGOs working on international development sustainable partnership. So in simple terms, the main goal of the project is to ensure that civil society is not just observing policymaking, but actively contribute to it. So the idea is to bring policymakers and civil society together through a structured dialogue in order the decisions that are shaped to be in a more collaborative and a more inclusive manner, I would say. Some, let's say, more specific objectives of the project are the promotion of inclusive and sustainable international partnerships of the European Union, is the empowerment of civil society organizations across Europe and the locals one, is to increase the public and political awareness about the EU's global role, and to promote the sustainable development goals as were defined by the United Nations. The project, as I said, has a duration of 18 months, is the 6 months of each presidency. So in the case of Cyprus, CARDET started implementing the activities of the project from January, and that will be last by June 26, which is the period of the official presidency of the EU. Now, I don't know if you want to talk now about the activities. Overall, I will say that we have 18 activities, 18 events, plus 3 initiatives. And I think if we have time, we can talk more about this during the discussion.
Yes, let's get back to the activities and learn more about them. So addressing the structural gaps that you outlined, the key deliverables, I want to talk about the capacity building components, the engagement mechanisms, training programs, media support. How are these going to function in practice? Who would like to begin talking?
Marinos will begin.
Yes.
And I cannot say the practical things that we have seen so far.
Yeah. Now, from the project perspective, as I said, we're organizing in total 6 capacity building workshops for civil society organization and for general public. These workshops cover a wide range of topics. We have topics that are related with the priorities of the projects, but also with the priorities of the Cyprus presidency. For example, we have some indicative topics of the workshops are NGO management and organizational sustainability, fake news and disinformation, which is a big topic during
especially now. More than ever now, indeed.
Exactly. So we have to make sure that the people that are reading news, how they tackle with fake news or disinformation. Another workshop will be about youth mental health, sustainable development goals, digital democracy, and some other very practical topics about the on how we manage NGOs. Beyond we can say on the capacity buildings and say that the aim of this workshop is to enhance the practical skills of civil society organization, of the general public on this particular topic. So this is a methodology that we are using to be very practical. We want to avoid a lot of theory. Of course, theory is important.
Yes.
Knowledge is important, but we want to be very practical on how the people that they will participate, they will gain a very substantial knowledge and skills.
To equip a sustainable...
Exactly. If I may say that another angle that the capacity building workshop have, I think they are dynamic in a sense that we see what's coming up in the society in Cyprus and we adapt things based on the needs of the civil society organizations. And I will say an example. We are developing this NGO management organizational sustainability workshop. In the meantime, which included the legal reform, identifying the needs, what are the gaps, especially in the law that we want to, and we were ready to prepare and join the policy policy paper on exactly what it is needed to be changed in the legal environment. And then the Ministry of Interior, who is responsible for the legal environment for NGOs, for the legislation, open a consultation for this. So CARDET played a vital role in trying to bring all these organizations that attended the capacity building workshops and are close to the program that, okay, since the presidency is and the project is running at this time, we will try to coordinate this initiative and do the consultation with all NGOs because we have also the capacity to do it and the resources, if I may say.
Yes.
So the importance of this project is that it tackles the areas of that civil society wants to develop, but in the same time is flexible to see what's going on and adapt the program in order to actually work towards assisting NGOs to build their capacity.
And if I may add also to this, beyond the capacity building workshops, we are hosting also a series of open dialogue meetings. So these are, let's say, structured consultations, bringing together civil society organizations, political representatives, key stakeholders, decision makers, in order to exchange views, to discuss topics that are, of course, very specific from the beginning. And after the end of this discussion, so it's not like a normal discussion where the people are coming to express their views. What we're trying to do is to, let's say, gather all of this information. And by the end of the project, we're planning to have like a booklet, like minutes from all of these open dialogues, like minutes, in order to share it with the respective stakeholders. So we want to have very tangible results by the end of this consultation and by the end of these capacity building workshops.
So all of these discussions are finding the place that they need to be received. Would you also like to talk about the regranting schemes in terms of the capacity building?
Yes.
Which is an important thing. Let's say it. I mean, like it's good to bring people together, and people are responding. But especially if you have to give them the opportunity through funding to help them more grow and do their work. I think this is a very important step for the project.
Yes. Let me clarify that the amount is not for, is small, is 10,000 euros. So nobody will get rich through this amount.
It's good that you're saying that, because media sometimes, and when we talk about fake news, they keep saying, "Oh, NGOs are getting so much money," and they are so that is good that you're mentioning, and they are doing more than what they get.
Exactly. So this is it's part of the project, a small grant schemes, which is managed by CARDET. There is a total budget of 100,000 euros. And after a proposal procedure, we had an external evaluation committee which evaluated a proposal from the civil society organization in order to run particular activities like trainings, like events, which are aligned with the project priorities. Now we're in the process where the civil society organization that were funded they have already started their initiatives. So they will run their activities during the presidency period, again with the main scope to enhance the civil society organization capacities, to increase awareness about their specific topics of interest, and by the end of the day, the general public to be benefited from all of these actions.
Yes.
And to continue sharing the passion of Marinos and our team for EUPP5. All this is surrounded by a very well-structured communication plan, because also, as we said, we don't want everything to be individual, to be done. So there is a communication. What the other organization is doing this grant. People may want to attend their others event. So we're trying to disseminate the information in a way, not just to show the results of the project, but in order to develop this networking that we want with the among the organizations.
There are many dials to be moved at the same time with
Yes.
the granting legal advice and training and all that. But let's talk about the timing of this project. And I'd like to ask, is this presidency period can enhance the civil society organizations' development in general?
Well, it is a unique political window. We have all the lights of Europe in Cyprus, if I may use. As you may know, and people know that European Union works with civil society in the sense of there are advocacy and lobbying happening in the sense by federations, confederations like Concord, which is part of this EUPP5 project. So they also requested, if I can say, from the local government to involve civil society. So political leaders are kind of like more accessible. Even also you may find speakers for an event or to organize a meeting that they will be in Cyprus during a presidency event. Media visibility as well. We are talking about EUPP5 is a presidency event. Many of the events of the organizations that are funded by the small grants or other organizations that are part of the networking with CARDET are organizing their own presidency event, or through the area that they work, they attend, for example, health organizations, attend the conference that is happening or the European meeting that is happening in Cyprus for health ministers, for example, or health parliamentary meetings. So in that sense, the NGOs. So I think it's very important and creates a momentum that could not only be the time that we will do that, but it will be the time that we will have the opportunity as civil society organizations to build this but also sustain them. Because we will have the EU, the local, but the European exposure as well.
At this point, because it's, people are saying that civil society organizations are always talking about gaps, disadvantages,
and
problems. At the same time, I want to thank also from this podcast some agencies and some governmental authorities that they help us to the implementation of the project and to the activities. For example, the Secretariat of the Cyprus Presidency of the EU Council. We have a lot of support from them. A lot of our events are under the auspices of the Secretariat, and they are willing to contribute even in these kind of topics. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the civil society organization and in general civil society is part of the priorities of the Cyprus presidency. So we are thanking these stakeholders that are helping these kind of projects. An indicative example is that during the launch event of the EUPP5 that was held at the Presidential Palace, we have approximately 180 people, and a lot of them were politicians. Of course, as Nadia said, we have the spotlights of the presidency, but even though we believe that with these kind of events, EUPP5 and a lot of other initiatives, we are creating a momentum, and also with the Cyprus presidency, in order to, even after the end of the, where the spotlights will go on and are off, to continue this collaboration among the civil society and the different other stakeholders, either governmental, either non-governmental, either with the private entities.
Placing a bridge there when people are ready to meet in the middle from top down and bottom up.
Yes.
Can we talk about the existing legal framework for non-governmental organizations in Cyprus? What are the current challenges? What's the status?
Yes. As I say, legal environment, we have mainly the associations and foundation law, which people organizations are registered there. But also there are civil society organizations that are registered as a social welfare organization under the Cypriot volunteering body, which is more the social welfare organizations, and automatically they get the status of an association. Also in Cyprus, we have the non-for-profit companies, which are also civil society organizations. And here we talk a little bit more about professional associations, and also research and development organizations. All of this consists of the legal framework, if I may say. There is also another element of the legal framework that is called philanthropy organizations, which is a status that you get following your registration as an organization, as an NGO. Okay. Today we will focus a little bit more to give an update about the gaps in the legal framework of associations, which is a major law for it. As I said, it was modernized in 2017, but there were a lot of gaps in terms of the fact that they have a lot of administration and bureaucratic procedures still in place. In order to register an organization, association, you need 20 people. This is something that the civil society tries to change as well, because it's a big number. This is one thing. The second thing is in terms of registration, there are a lot of administration work of registering non-Cypriots in an association, and non-Cypriots, and I mean, like people that are living in Cyprus are not Cypriots. We also have an issue, and I think it's important to say it because we want to encourage also the bicommunal work between the two communities, and it's also an issue there in terms of registration of Cypriots, that they don't have their legal address in the Republic of Cyprus, and again is a problem that we face as civil society organization, that we want to work with the two communities. Also, the fact that registration is happening in the regional districts, not at the ministry itself, which it used to be. They tried to decentralize the situation to the district office in Paphos, in Limassol, in Paralimni, in Nicosia, Larnaca, and there they gave that to the district offices. But unfortunately, and I'm not saying that because sometimes we don't want to blame somebody, but they didn't also have the capacity of doing it. So sometimes we see different approaches, and then this is what Marinos said before. It also depends on who are you going to reach. So sometimes the people that are in the district offices, they don't have the capacity, they don't know the information, and this makes a lot of delays in registration. Yes. Also, there is the issue that every year you have to, which is very good. Something that we need to be clear is that civil society organizations, they want controls. We want to be compliant with the legal framework. It's just that administration burden have to know that we're talking about mostly volunteers, and organizations with limited capacity. So they should take this into consideration. So there is an issue that every year you have to submit the minutes from your annual general assembly, and the minutes, and the number of members, so that you don't fell until of the number 20. But again, you also need to submit your audited account for an organization that they have a big number of turnover. Again, they also have this, they only under 10,000 euro you don't have. But again, the organization that they do 2 events and they get 15,000 euro, they have to all do this, and audit account means a lot of administration and financial burden for organizations. So these are the things that were identified that they need to change. Plus the problems, which is not so much legal, but the problems with banks. Banks nowadays are if I say they want to ensure that they are compliant, and I'm saying that again, that we don't want any exemptions to the compliance legislation and regulations. Yes. But there is this problem that with the banks, that they want many things from the organization. They have a bank account, or they have problem to open a bank account to a new organization. So all these are problems that we are trying to tackle and see who to contact in order to change this and understand our opinion on how we can address this.
Yeah, these are major issues, and it is actually in line with the European priorities of simplification, without actually giving out on the compliance and the regulatory frameworks. And it will be interesting how would the SEOs will be able to then find this information, to learn and keep updated with it. And okay, we're talking about times where we observe at home and in Europe and around globally that there is a reduction in trust on how these organizations can actually, like not only organizations, the governments, the systems that are in place for citizens, whether they feel they can trust, whether it builds something. Can we talk about how does the EUPP5 project aim to improve public trust?
By the way, I forgot to mention some other important activities from the project. Beyond all of the events that I have already mentioned, we have another 3 important initiatives. The one is the grant scheme that I have already talked about, and the other 2 are the following. The first is the developing of policy papers. One policy paper on digital democracy and one on green skills. As I said, as CARDET, we want to provide evidence-based discussions. So in the frame of the project, we're developing these 2 policy papers in order to provide recommendations both in a national and European level. So these 2 policy papers will be available public and will be like recommendations for the local government and also in a European level.
Bringing transparency for the...
Yes, in relation to particular topics, digital democracy and green skills. And also another aspect of the project are the study visits in Brussels. So in the frame of the project, we are organizing 2 study visits in Brussels with the aim, the civil society organization, to meet with other civil society organizations in Europe, and also to have the chance to meet with European institutions and other European NGOs. So the aim is to connect from the local level to the European level and even in an international level.
And that will help with the trust, as you mentioned as well. I don't know if Marina wants, you can say about the European conference as well that we will have in April in Cyprus with organizations from European Union and the Mediterranean as well. When you say trust and the problems that exist in local and European level, and Marinos mentioned that there are opportunities through this project to network with European bodies in order to build also trust about the civil society and what they are doing. And since we are talking about what's happening today, we have seen a shift of the agenda from the European Union as well. Remember that we used to say that European Union is the core of the human rights, and I'm not saying it's not, but nowadays with the wars and all this, and the shifting of the agenda to security issues and
defense
in general,
business competition.
Yes, and this is something that is making things more difficult to raise your voice for what you're saying. But this project and many civil society, they don't see it as a competition between the defense and everything. How can be a war without protecting human rights? So this is what we want to show. And Marinos again said it before that we don't want only to raise the problems, because with that ways you don't build trust. We want to showcase some good examples that stakeholders work together towards the improvement of a situation in Cyprus and in Europe. And the presidency gives this opportunity because the presidency brings all the areas from agriculture to defense to health to international development to foreign affairs and external relations, gender issues. So in that sense, these projects want to show exactly that there are examples and that there are things in Cyprus and in the European level and in the other countries, Denmark and Poland, that things can work together and very good in order to show. And media plays a vital role. And exactly that's why we want now to show these things, because it's easier to get access to the media when you're talking about a presidency priority. When you are talking about a presidency event that is happening in cooperation with the Deputy Ministry of European Affairs, or happening something in the presidential palace. So I think this is why it's important to talk about trust, and the trust will be built by showing that we can work together and not think that the civil society is here to only raise the problematic issues and address things against.
If I can add to this. At least in this project, we see a holistic agenda, a 360 agenda, where there is no competition topics-wise. Even if we have as a topic gender issues or human rights issues or civic engagement, at the same time, we are running and we are implementing events that has to do with fake news, disinformation, the new direction of European Union to defense. So there is no mutual exclusiveness in relation to the topics that we are working on it. And I think this is a message that I want to provide through this project, that the agenda is not just one. So it's not only on gender, it's not only on human rights, not only to defense. Of course, there are very specific projects that are maybe very research-oriented or very technical-oriented, that they have to be very specific topics-wise. We understand this. But when we're talking about civil society in general, we're talking about the whole life of a people. So if we're talking about human rights, it influences the people's life. The same with defense, the same with security. Same with gender or any other issues that you can raise. So we believe that our project it's a good case where we can combine very easily and in a very balanced way the wider agenda of EU. And back to your question about trust. Of course, trust doesn't happen, let's say, automatically.
Yes.
It's something that is built with a very structured, I will say, way, in a very methodically way. And participation is essential. And when we're talking participation, not just symbolic participation, but essential participation. That's why through the open dialogues that I have already described, that we have already planned and some of them have already been implemented, we don't believe to the symbolic consultation. We want to structure spaces where people are coming, they're expressing their views. At the same time, we're providing the opportunity to policymakers also to provide their views, to justify their positions. So we're going to have this healthy dialogue with arguments and counter arguments. And at the same time, the outcome that we want is to move the society to the next level. We want the people to overcome their issues. We want policymakers to implement the policies that the people are demanding. So trust is all over the project and in all over the activities. Even with the study visit in Brussels, yes, we believe that. Imagine that a youth that is going to Brussels and meet the European Parliament or any other institutions or any other colleagues from other European CSOs. Yes, we think that we're building and we're enhancing the EU visibility, the EU idea.
Yes.
So
values.
The EU values, exactly. So it's very important for us, and we want, as we said, we don't want just to tick the box with all of our activities. We want to have substantial outcomes out of this.
Yes, and when we're talking about participation, we cannot go without talking about the inclusivity. And we're talking about the youth, the underrepresented parts of the community, and maybe even the in-between sectors to be included into this conversation. What methodology is there to promote that? Yeah,
I will try to be very brief. Of course, to be totally inclusive is, for me, it's a huge challenge, even that you're trying hard to do this. In some cases, even with the boundaries that you have, either resources-wise, either, let's say, time-wise, in some cases, maybe you are more inclusive as you wish, but in this project, we're trying to be as much as we can. For example, I will give just indicative examples. We have planned activities, either events or any other activities, in a hybrid format in order to give the chance either to people that they have the opportunity to go online, or some other people that they want to join face to face. Also, we plan events almost in all regions of Cyprus. Of course, Nicosia is the epicenter of the activities, but we have planned activities in Limassol, in Paphos, and we're trying to arrange also other activities in other cities in Cyprus. Also, age is very important.
Yes.
We are trying to have an age balance in all of our events, and of course, gender balance. Which is very important through our events to have speakers and, of course, participants with a gender balance. And topics-wise, and that goes to the point that I raised previously, the agenda, we are quite flexible to the agenda, of course, with the links, with the priorities that we have to follow. We are trying to be inclusive, with a wide agenda, with different topics, as I described previously, from human rights to defense and security issues. Even that these topics are considered opposite, but for us they are not. I mean, they are part of the of a daily life of the people.
Also, what I see it happening is that the true inclusion also happens from the fact that each activity, from the smallest ones to the biggest one, is designed in a way that we ensure that all stakeholders are on the table, in the sense that we identify and do a lot of work in identifying all the relevant stakeholders, and then to see who is not easy access, who will not have the access to information or that, in order to make an effort to reach out to them. And to create a safe place so that, for example, when we will be talking about issues, gender issues and LGBT rights and everything, to ensure that we create a safe space for everyone to raise their voices.
And the safe space is not only for the civil society organization, we're also giving space also policymakers, to decision makers, to politicians to come. I think this is another important point that we have to raise. So it's not.
So we are not talking about ourselves.
Exactly.
But among people who may actually make.
We are not the usual suspects, as we usually say.
Yes. Otherwise, it's an echo chamber. Yes. We have this problem. We have this problem.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have mentioned in parts about how you are planning to make the results of this project actually last, but let's talk about what will happen when this project comes to an end. Is there any specified elements that will outlast the funding period? How?
Yeah, I mean, this is a very important question for all of the projects that we are implementing. Even for this, because we are implementing a lot of activities and a lot of events in a very short period, basically in 6 months. We know that the presidency period is temporary. I mean, the question is, what is happening at the end of June? We are having a plan on how to sustain this dynamic that is creating through this project. And of course, Nadia will tell you more about, she has already mentioned about an initiative that we are having as CARDET in relation to civil society organizations, but also project-wise, what we're trying to do is to create a community of stakeholders where they will be able to join in future events with related topics. There will be the stakeholders that we will cooperate in the future, and that the stakeholders that they will sustain the dynamic, and they will be the multiplier. And the multipliers of this dynamic, and for the skills, for the knowledge, etc. So we're not creating just a temporary dynamic. We want this to be continue at the end of this event. That's why during the capacity building workshop that we mentioned, we want to develop skills and knowledge. So we believe that these people that they will participate, they will be the multipliers of these skills to other people.
Yes. So this is in the core of the, and it was designed. Networking was also part of core, let's say, objective of the project. So I think CARDET also, through this project, acts as connector of linking local organization as we said, through all the factions and identify and try to, sometimes we face this, that because there is so limited capacity, networking is difficult in Cyprus between organizations. We saw it many times that there were initiatives to bring all the environmental organizations together. They have their federation, let's say, but you have limited time. Who are going to follow them? The work of your organization or the work of the network? So there was always this need to have someone that can take a little bit the burden of the resources needed for the networking. So this project managed to bring CARDET as a connector in the areas of civil society. And I mentioned before that CARDET will facilitate the consultation for the legal framework, for example. But through this and through the identification and promotion of organizations through the small grants, we can see another network, not so strong and structured as we see through CARDET, to at least know each other, see and make some effort to cooperate for some activities. There is no need to repeat the same area, all the organizations that are working, for example, for youth. If there is a way that we should, first of all, know what the other organization is doing, and through CARDET to see how we can connect, then we can develop another activity that will be bigger and it will be co-organized by two organizations. So this is a very important time for the project to ensure that networking is strengthened in order to exchange knowledge, events, as I say, and collective advocacy, which is also very important at this stage we are in Cyprus, but also in the world.
True.
During the first study visit that was held in Brussels, as I said, we invited 5 different representatives from civil society organization. And the main point at the end of this trip was that the majority of the people, they didn't know each other, even if they are working in the same field and on the same topics. And I was discussing with some of my colleagues, and I said, this is the actual impact of our project, to connect people, to network people, because as far as I know, some of them, they have already started developing their proposals, start developing common initiatives. So with this, they're saving resources and they're doing project with greater impact. So this is just an example of one of the activities that we are doing.
Yes, through this they're able to progress without repeating the same steps. Thank you very much. This finalized my question. I was going to ask, how does this networking system actually strengthens the CSO ecosystem? You've summed it up all very well. Thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to add on the topics that we've discussed?
Yes. I think it's important to mention that we're going to have the final and big event of this project, the Euro-Mediterranean Conference, which will be held on 23rd and 24th of April at the University of Nicosia. This is not a local conference. This is a regional and I would say international conference. It's called Civil Society Organization, Euro-Mediterranean Civil Society Organization Conference. And the topic is about the realities, the challenges and the opportunities of civil society organization, not only Cyprus, but in the wider Euro-Mediterranean region. So we're going to host organizations from not only from Europe, but from the wider Mediterranean area, hopefully. So it's going to be an opportunity for networking and for exchanging ideas, common challenges, and good practices. So the format we're going to have, let's say, different panel discussions with different topics from AI to disinformation, human rights, etc. So we welcome everyone in a local level who wants to join in this important conference that will be held in Cyprus.
Great. Look forward to seeing the information once published.
Good.
Thank you very much. Anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and we're available for anything else people may need as well.
It was a lovely discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.